If gender isn't real, why have we created even more genders for it? I think when Op says gender isn't real, she means it's a construct. We made it up, and that's true. Biological sex is real, gender is made up. Girl, I feel the same. I don't feel like a woman. I feel like a person. It feels like it has nothing to do with anything, or it's just annoying when it has any impact on life. I'm just a person. Man. I don't feel any strong ties relating to gender. I've just sort of rolled with the woman label. But I wouldn't care if I was born as a man either. Honestly. You're overthinking it. I'm going to be honest. I've never felt my gender before. I don't even know what I should even look for in my mind to find my gender. I am biologically female, but I have never felt female. This is normal. Gender isn't real like money isn't real. People created the concept. It's a real concept and has real applications. But it still exists only as a collective idea. We have lots of words to describe other social constructs as well. Most of our language is based on abstractions, and they are useful for descriptions, but they aren't concrete. The difference between a rock, pebble, and boulder aren't clearly defined lines, but tell us something about our relationship to the object. Classifications like fruit and vegetable are meaningful descriptors, but it depends who you're talking to and what you're trying to convey. A tomato means different things to a chef or a botanist. They're descriptive and have different meanings in context. This, like, it confuses me so much. Like, what is gender then? For basically the same or similar reason to what you said. Gender isn't not real. Gender is socially constructed. It's thing that humans invented and doesn't have innate meaning outside of the social context in which it exists. Like laws or concepts like citizenship. The idea that you can be a citizen of a state, another social construct, doesn't have any basis in nature. It's something that people decided to make a thing. But that doesn't mean that citizenship isn't real. I thought gender was a concept we used back when our gender coincided with some sort of societal role, as well as the aesthetics that come with that role. I mean, it still does to a pretty strong degree. Gender roles and norms aren't as defined and prescriptive as they once were. But they still exist and are relevant. I'm going to be honest. I've never felt my gender before. I don't even know what I should even look for in my mind to find my gender. I am biologically female, but I have never felt female. I mean, I don't really know what to do with that. Personally, I can say that while I'm not the epitome of traditional masculinity, I do feel like a man. I was raised as a boy, and I've never felt like that appellation and the expectations that surrounded it were incompatible with my internal world. If someone said, "You're a woman," or, "You're non-binary," that certainly wouldn't feel right. And whenever I ask this question, a lot of people say it's a matter of feeling feminine or masculine. But that makes zero sense, since I have seen people who identify as women be masculine, and people who identify as men be feminine. I mean, that's why people say it's a spectrum, not a binary. A more feminine man is still a man, and a more masculine woman is still a woman. What constitutes a gender? Some identity on the spectrum relating to masculinity and femininity. Why is any gender valid? Why shouldn't any gender be valid? Why shouldn't we throw the whole thing out? It's a little late for that. Race is a social construct too. And if we could live in a world where no one paid any mind to race, that would be great. But me saying, I don't have a race, I'm post-racial, isn't going to stop anyone from seeing me or treating me as a black person. You can acknowledge that every orange has unique properties while also generally grouping them all as oranges. Human beings have a natural desire to define and classify groups because it is important to our understanding of the universe. It's not that gender isn't real, but rather people are arguing that it exists on a spectrum rather than as a binary thing. Much like the spectrum of light, you can look at a section of it and call it red while others break up that section into more specific hues of red, each with its own name. That's why you have people seemingly identifying as a million different genders while half of them may seem like the same thing to you. It's a question of granularity. Who's to say what you feel is really what is felt anyways? Maybe not having felt female is in fact what someone who feels female feels. How do you know your feelings are in fact different from what another feels and instead you simply interpret them differently? How are you able to make the distinction when others can't? Just wanted to say that I totally get you on never feeling your gender. Not even when pregnant, which is the most female I'll ever be. Was I feeling a woman? I'm not like feeling a man either. I shared this once with my mother. She didn't get it and I never spoke about it since. 'Cause what's the point? Gender does exist. Humans constructed it, but it is useless in world with human equality and should not exist. The wide variance of human personality necessitates that gender be a spectrum. A spectrum has infinite points along it and therefore infinite genders, as you pointed out. There should be one pronoun for everyone. It is so unnecessary to shove every individual's entire identity into a category that we then use to reference them with. How about we just use their name? It looks to me like the gender debate is the internet equivalent of teenagers navigating puberty. During high school, it seems like the most important thing in life. But as you get older you realize how silly and awkward it all really is. No one really cares. And those who do weren't all that interesting to talk to in the first place. Gender is an artificial construct. That doesn't make it not real. People are simply suggesting that they have as much right to their artificial construct as to the existing artificial constructs. If you are a female, then you do feel female. What the media or anyone else tells you a woman should feel or act like is invalid. Because you are a female. So any way you feel, act, or dress is that of a female. Gender is not real, but as things are we also can't escape it in most Western societies. It's ubiquitous. So people who don't fit the two predefined arbitrary conceptions on gender try to put words on what fits them. The terms that come from that are the result of that search for better self-description on a society that can't escape gender. But this also means that we were built with the idea of gender as something that describes it. Throwing the whole thing away isn't gonna be a thing. Some people, me included, can both think it's fake and dumb and also be connected to it in a way that taking it away would be harsh. I'm neither a feminine or masculine woman, and that's both the gender I was assigned at birth in. The one that's right for me, and I don't think I'd be ready to do away with it. If it confuses you, you're not alone. It's all the process of realizing humans are more complex than boxes, and I think it's fantastic. The Roman Empire fell once they become so powerful they had nothing to do other than arguing about gender. We are at that same point now. Just be grateful, real men and real women. Your ancestors fought many wars so you can be here. Just for you to wonder if you a them, they or a tree, trees. It's really insignificant. Just be you. Gender is a social construct. That doesn't mean it's not real. But, as far as all those new genders, attention-seeking, confused teenagers, mentally ill adults, take your pick really. I believe in male, female, and non-binary. It doesn't matter what you're born as. I'll stand behind you. But if you tell me your gender is a wolf from space or some crap like that, I'll only try not to laugh in your face. Gender is a complicated web that comprises way more than just gender stereotypes. So, 2 questions. Gender isn't real. Gender is real. A significant portion of it is a social construct, i.e., invented by humans. But that doesn't make it any less real. It simply means that parts of it are tied to how we, humans, interact with each other. Ideas of gender and gender roles can change place to place, time to time, and person to person. What is gender? Gender is comprised of the very hard to pin down interaction between your sex. The quite wide array of roles, behaviors, appearances and duties ascribed to men and women by societies and cultures, and how your personal identity ties into it. Violating the typical gender norms doesn't change your gender, because your sex and identity still go. Yes, you're a woman with short hair. That's fine. You are still a woman. However, it has been observed that men who are out-earned by their partners can sometimes experience a gender crisis, a deep-seated feeling of guilt of identifying as a man but being unable to fulfill the expected ideas that men are supposed to be the breadwinners of the household, making them question their own masculinity. I am biologically female, but I have never felt female. Imagine if, for whatever reason, everyone would suddenly start referring to you as a man. They'd tell you to dress like a man, to talk like a man, to fulfill the same duties as often placed on men, would exclude you from typically female communities in favor of male communities, and would insist on calling you a man. Odds are you'd start feeling very uncomfortable because you, looking in the mirror, see a woman. The reason you've never felt female is simply because feeling female is the norm for you. It's like health. You never notice how nice it is to have a good knee until you slip on some ice and you can't walk properly for a week. Who the F cares? Sex is biological. Gender or gender roles are social.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.